Okay, so today we are going to do some practice on just finding slope and y-intercept. This is something you've done in the past, so I'm only going to do a couple with you. And if you have any questions, you can come ask me later. The first thing I want you to do, and I always want you to do, is I want you to highlight your y, because that is where our y-intercept is. So if we highlight it, then it makes it easier for us to find, and we can see that in our heads. Now we're going to look, and we're going to find the scale. We're going to find the scale of our y. If I look at this y, it seems to be going up by tens. So my scale on my y side is 10. And then if I look at my x, it seems to be going over by 1. So my scale on my x side is a 1. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to look, and I want you to decide if it's a positive or negative slope. Now, when we're reading from left to right, because that's how we read, if we're reading left to right and we're going up, that is going to make it a positive slope. So this one is actually a positive slope. Now, I'm going to write rise over run over here because that's how we find slope. And in a minute, we're going to be finding it, and I want to make sure that we know how to do that. Okay? The very first thing I'm going to find is my y-intercept because it's the easiest thing to find. So if I look here, this goes through my y at 20. So my y-intercept, or my b, is 20. Okay? Now, m is my slope. And what I have to do is I have to find two places where it crosses directly at the intersection. I have one here, and I have one here. And when I say intersection, I mean it has to cross in between the two lines, and they're kind of hard to see on this. I don't know if I can zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. They're kind of hard to see, but you need it right directly where it comes to a corner. So here and here work. Now I'm going to do rise over run. Here is the biggest problem with finding slope. Most people forget that this is counting by tens. So they don't say 10, 20, and that's where they get messed up. So the reason that I had you find your scale is because you can look at this and you can say this rise is 1, 2, and 2 times my 10 is 20. Or if you can remember it, you can say 10, 20, whichever way is easiest for you. Now I'm going to run, and I'm going to run one time, and 1 times 1 is 1. So I have 20 over 1. 20 over 1 is just 20. So my slope, or my m, is 20. Now if I'm writing an equation, my equation says, I'm going to write this up here, y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope and b is my y-intercept. Okay, so I always need to remember that this m is my slope and that the b is my y-intercept. It's not my y, it's my y-intercept. So when I go to write the equation, it's going to look like y equals 20x, don't leave off your x, plus 20. I get these numbers from here. Okay, I want to look at a negative slope with you. Let me find one here. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay, earlier I said that the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my scale. Okay, after I highlight my y. So I'm highlighting my y. Okay, I'm going to find my scale. This seems to be going up by 1, 2, 3. So it's going up by ones. And then it's going over by 1, 2. So it's going over by ones also. So this is a pretty simple one when it comes to rise over run. If I look and I'm reading from left to, oh, and I told you I was going to find a negative slope. Left to right, this is a positive slope. Okay, so that helps you a little bit on number 6. Let me go find you a negative slope here. Number 7, let's try number 7. That's a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to mark my y. Okay, and then I'm going to find my scale. 1, 2, so this is going up by ones again. 1, 2, so it's going over by ones. Makes it a little bit easy again. Okay, now let's try this one. If I'm reading from left to right, I'm going left and I'm reading. My line is going down. So if it's going down, it's a negative slope. Okay? I'm going to write the words rise, over, run, because I know in a minute I'm going to find my slope. And I'm going to look and see where it crosses through the y. It crosses through right here. So 2 would be my b. That is my y-intercept. And then I can go and I can pick any spot. I'm going to pick this one because it just seems easy. Now, even if they don't have dots on here for you already, you still have to know it has to go through the center. Do you see how that's going through the center of these lines? Okay, so I am rising 1, and I'm rising in a positive direction. So it's 1 over. Now, I have to remember when I run, if I'm going backwards, it's a negative number. So since I'm going back 1, that's a negative 1, which means that my slope is negative 1. So that's going to give me negative y equals negative 1x plus 2. I can also write this y equals negative x plus 2, because when you write an x, there's always an invisible 1 in front of it. If you have any questions about this one, please come see me during zero period. Thank you.